So believe it or not, I'm actually going fishing. I've got about 24 hours ahead of me to try and catch something, and I'm actually at a new lake. So I joined this about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Did manage my first fish out the other day. It's only about 16, 17 pound, but a lovely scaly one. So hopefully we can have a few more of them. But first things first, let's get the rods out. Now, I haven't fished it that much yet. Like I said, I've only been a member for probably about 2 or 3 weeks really. So I haven't really had the chance to get down here. When I have been down here, generally I've been filming products. So I've managed to chuck the rods out and kind of hope for the best. But I did come down, I had that fish Friday, and that was whilst I was filming a couple of products. But I did come down Saturday night, and I brought my dad down for a guest, and I blanked whilst he caught 3 fish, including a nice 20-pound mirror. It's nice obviously to see fish. It's nice that he managed to get one out, or get a few out. The other 2 were just little commons. But yeah, the 20-pound mirror was quite a nice welcome little gift. So I've worked out a couple of things already from that. I'd been baiting a couple of spots previously for when we were coming down on that Saturday, and nothing came off them spots, which was quite interesting. Now, I figured out that a lot of people use bait boats down here, so that might be a reason why they're not coming over baited areas. So I'm using solid bags. That's what had my fish on, and that's what the 3 fish that my dad had over the weekend came on. So whether they're a little bit cautious over bigger areas of bait because of the amount of bait boats and things like that that are used on here, they all give a similar sort of spread. So maybe baiting like that isn't the way forward. And also with the solid bags, I'm using just tiny little 6mm hook baits. So the combination of a little patch of bait and then a tiny little hook bait could be what is getting bites. Might be completely wrong, like I say, still very early days, but I'm going to persevere with that thought and just use solid bags on this session. So I'm just going to be using little 2mm pellets, bit of stick mix, and then, like I say, them tiny little 6mm pop-ups. And I think I've kind of worked out where they like spending their time as well. During the day, there seems to be a lot in this bay that's just behind the camera. Overnight, I'm going to move off. I'm going to go further down the lake where they seem to be crashing about a lot over the weekend. So that's the idea. I'm going to be fishing here till maybe 5, 6 o'clock, move down the lake, get the rods out ready for the night, and then move back here again first thing in the morning. Now, this video is actually going to contain a product as well. So I've been lucky enough that JRC have sent me one of their EZ-Winder bivvies. So I'm going to be using that during this session. I'll show you obviously the ins and outs of the bivvy throughout the session as well. And I am going to get up, as soon as I've put the rods out, I'm going to get up here, even though I'm only here for the day, because it's meant to have about a bit of a storm about 1 o'clock. So I'd rather be protected. Obviously the main bonus of that bivvy is it's nice and easy to put up. It's in the case of winding up the mechanism, and then you've got a shelter ready to go. So that's my approach. So I'm going to get these out there. Well, say get them out there, I've got to make them first, but make 3 solid bags, get them out there, and then get myself a bit sorted, so I'm a bit more comfortable for when that storm rolls in. Now typically before getting the rods out and before finishing the bags, it started raining, so I think I'm going to have to get that EZ-Winder up quicker. So I'm just running back to the car to get it now, get that set up, and then get the rods out. It has actually stopped raining again now I've got this out, but fishing solid bags, I don't really want to be caught short, so I'd rather get it up and know that I can get them out without them melting away before I even cast them. So, right, put them long ones together, and then just start unwinding. Start taking shape. Now this one's a little bit stiff because it's obviously brand new, but after a few uses it will loosen up. There we go, that's taking its shape. A couple of storm poles at the front, and then it's just a case of pegging it in place. I haven't got the front on it at the moment. I don't need it. I'll probably put the front on overnight, but for now it literally is just a case of having a bit of shelter from the rain. Now I think we can all agree that this is a very, very cool looking bivvy, and yeah, it's nice and easy to put up. Just simply a case of winding that central section. That gives it the shape. If you are caught in a shower, I was quite lucky in the end, but if you are caught in a torrential downpour, simply wind it, and then that gives it enough structure just to actually hold itself. You don't have to worry about pegging things in straight away. So yeah, it's really nice that it's rigid the second that you actually put it up. Luckily, like I say, that rain stopped, and it's one extreme to the other. It's come out really nice sunshine now, and yeah, just can't odds it. But it's up now. Like I say, there's meant to be a thunderstorm in a couple of hours, so I'd rather it be up and be a little bit protected. Solid bags ready to go. Got another 2 here. The last thing I'm going to do is just add a little bit of glug, and there's fish out in front of me in this bay, so hopefully we can get amongst them before moving on. But I'm going to yeah, get a little bit of this in here. Loads of attraction. Like I say, I've got the little 2mm pellets, and I've got some stick mix in there as well, and then a load of oil. So let's get this one straight out there, and then get the other 2 out as well. So they are just out in the middle. That's where they're all cruising up and down. This bay's really shallow as well, so I think it's only a couple of foot, which is probably why they're enjoying it so much during the day. I don't know if you saw that on camera, but literally just as I was about to cast out, a little head came out, so that bag went straight on that. Good old British summers. Can't even get all 3 rods out before it chucks it down. Still, 2 are out there, looking good. There's fish around them. I'm gonna get that 3rd one out as soon as this passes a little bit. So the rain just stopped, I had my 3rd bag ready, and a fish showed just off this bush on the left. So I've just moved my other 2 rods over so they're right in the middle rod, and just pinged a solid out to this bush, because it sounded alright, it sounded quite weighty. So yeah, just gotta get that back on the rest. And then they're all out on the dance floor. Now, it does look pretty good for a bite. It's muggy, it's overcast, proper summer fishing weather. So it's actually gone a little bit quiet. The rods have been out for a couple of hours, and it just doesn't feel like there's a lot happening in this bay. There's been the odd fish crash, but I say that. Little beep on my left rod. Could have been a liner. It might just be wind or something going through. But yeah, there's not been a lot happening. That's the first time I've heard the alarm since the rods have been out. Like I say, there's been the odd fish crash, but they don't seem to be here in the numbers that they have been previously. So I think I'm going to reel in. It's bang on 2 o'clock now. I'm going to reel in, have a little wander around. If I see something to move on to, then I'm going to move earlier than planned. If I don't see anything, then I'm going to get a few fresh solids back out here, and just give it a few hours before then moving on. It doesn't look like the storm's coming in now, which is something. So it's yeah, I'm unsure. Hopefully I'll see something whilst wandering around, or see that they are actually in here, and then I've got a bit more to go on. But I think just sitting here behind motionless rods for the next few hours in the hope that they're here isn't the one. So let's try and make something happen. So I've just had a quick wander down to the swim where I was planning to do the night, and there's quite a few fish down here already. They are milling about on the surface at the moment, but they're here, and they're here in numbers, like I've seen them in the bay before. That's what they're doing here. So yeah, I'm very tempted to move my stuff down now, and even if I put a couple of zigs out or something to start with, I don't know, I'll keep an eye on it as I'm bringing stuff down and getting myself sorted. Now you have to ignore all the banging about behind me and angle grinders and whatever else is going on. I think they're building a new housing estate pretty close to this lake, which is a bit of a shame, but I'm around the other side of the lake and there are a lot of fish out in front. So I've got 3 bags already made up, which are the bags that I was going to be putting back out into that bay. But like I say, after seeing the numbers of fish here, this is where I was going to be doing the night anyway. So it's an absolute no-brainer to move around whilst they're all here. So just going to get these out as quickly as I possibly can and hopefully try and get a quick bite. Well, the rods are out and they've been out for a couple of hours, and if I'm honest, I'm really surprised that they haven't gone. There's so many fish out in front still. They are still cruising about on the top, but there's no sign of them moving off at all. It's just gone 5 now. So I thought I'd get this up because I will definitely be doing the night here. There's so many fish about, so might as well make myself a little bit comfortable for the night. Let's wind this up. Like I say, the last few turns a little bit stiff, but it's almost worth doing that once you've got it in place. So let's just get this over my bed chair. There we go. I'm not going to bother putting the front on tonight. The forecast is pretty all right, and there's such a big it's such a big open shelter. You've got loads of room that you're far enough back. Even if there was a bit of rain and a bit of wind, it's not going to come in at all. So yeah, I'm going to finish getting this set up, and then yeah, make myself a bit more comfortable for the night. Right, so I finally got things a little bit organised so we can actually have a bit of a look at this EZ-Winder, because at the end of the day, that's what this video is about. I'm hoping it's going to be about fish, but it's more than likely just going to be about this EZ-Winder. And the purpose of this EZ-Winder is to aid you with a quick, easy erection. Now, we all need a bit of help with that sometimes, but I think this bivvy does that. It is nice and easy to put up. Now, you've seen a couple of times so far in this video just me kind of cranking it up, and like I said earlier, it's a little bit stiff on the last few turns, but I think that's for a couple of reasons. Partly because it's a brand new bivvy. I've used it once previously to this, which was on the Saturday night they're done, and it seems to be that each time I'm doing it, it is getting that little bit easier. So I think it's quite stiff because it's new material, it's all quite tight, so until it actually stretches out that little bit more, then it will stay a bit stiff. But like I say, each time I'm putting it up, it is getting a bit easier, which is, it's quite nice to be able to have it on the bank and do a couple of tests like that to kind of give that sort of knowledge across. I think the other reason for that, for it being a bit stiffer, is because of the tension that once you have actually gone onto kind of full load, the tension that this bivvy has is actually quite high, and that's what gives it the freestanding element as well. So I think I mentioned previously that you can literally just crank it up and you don't actually need to put any pegs in, any storm poles, anything like that. It will hold its shape. Now, obviously, you need to put pegs and storm poles in to actually make it stay put. But if you are, like I said, I think earlier, if you're in the middle of a torrential downpour or something like that, literally a case of just cranking it up, it'll take you a couple of minutes, not even that, and then you can chuck it over all your stuff. So it protects your stuff, and then you can go around and actually sort it from that. So with the aim being a quick, easy erection, I think JRC have got that ticked. Now, some of you guys might have seen in the past, we've done long-term reviews, and I'm hoping this is going to be one of the products I can keep hold of, so I can use it for, say, 6 months and then do another video showing my findings and kind of iron out the, I wouldn't say issue, but the thing about the bivvy being stiff to put up. I do think it, like I said, it's down to the fabric, where it's new fabric, it's a new mechanism. I think it's just got to be used a few times. As, like I say, even putting it up 3 or 4 times so far, it has got a bit looser. So yeah, fingers crossed we can keep hold of this, and we'll do a long-term review in, say, 6 months time or something like that. Now when it comes to waterproofing, you've got nothing to worry about there. The fabric that this bivvy is made from is a high performance Hydrotex material. So this has got a 10,000mm hydrostatic head, so it's more than capable of dealing with torrential downpours, but also throughout the whole bivvy there is taped seams, so you've got no chance of any water getting through the seams either. Now the design is different to most bivvies. As we've already mentioned, you've got the mechanism on the back, so it almost feels like you've got a brolly system, but it's a bivvy. So it's a brolly system with none of the internal ribs or anything like that. You've got no extra poles for peaks or anything, so it is quite a unique design. And something that I kind of noticed to start with, which threw me off a little bit, is there's no tension strap to go from one side of the bivvy to the other to give it its shape. So I was kind of thinking, well, that's really annoying, because how do you get the shape? Is the only way to get the shape by zipping the front on, pegging it all in place, and then zipping the front off. But the idea of this bivvy is there's no set shape to it, which probably sounds really weird, but obviously if you're using the front, then there is a set shape because the front has to fit that set shape. But then by zipping that in, then that will create the shape. But if you're using it as an open front shelter like I am, then you don't need it to be a certain shape, because the design's from the back and it molds around. It always keeps the shape that it should do, but depending on the weather conditions, if you've got strong winds with rain, then you can just widen the bivvy and then that lowers it. If it's quite nice and calm and you want a taller view, then you can just close the sides in a little bit. I think that makes sense. It makes sense in my mind, but it's really nice to have that flexibility. Like I say, if you are using the front, then you don't have to worry about any of that at all, because you zip the front on and obviously your tension against the front where it is zipped in place. But it's nice if you are using it more as a shelter than a complete bivvy. It's nice to be able to adapt it to how the weather actually is. More often than not, I will use an open front shelter. So it's quite nice if I'm using an open front shelter, if the rain gets bad overnight, then it's easy just to take the front couple of pegs out, widen it out, that will drop the front down, and then you know you're that little bit more protected. But that kind of brings us on to the size as well and how much room you've got inside the bivvy. So I will come on to the actual, the specific dimensions in a little bit, but in terms of an actual real world usage, you can see here exactly what I've got in it. So I've got my bed chair here, and because of the design, it can't go all the way to the back because it's not a flat back design because of the actual mechanism at the back. So it's as far back as it can be, and behind that actually gives you a bit of room still to store your bivvy bag and bits that maybe clothing, food bag, things like that you're not going to need all the time, so that you can keep that out of the way. Then obviously got my bed chair, and then at the front I've got quite a big rucksack here. I've got my bait bucket and things like that. There's loads of room at the front, and something else I've noticed, because it's quite a wide bivvy, is I've actually got room for my camera kit at the head of my bed. So most bivvies, you're pretty much touching side to side with your bed chair. So to have that extra bit of space is actually really beneficial. This is a big one man, and I know, like I said, you can adjust it to how you see fit, but I haven't got this overly wide at the moment. This, I'd say, is probably quite a standard way to set it up, and you've got a lot of room. So I'll flash some dimensions on the screen, and so that'll give you an actual gauge of it, so you can measure that against your bed chair and that sort of thing. But overall, yeah, it's nice and spacious. There's loads of head height, and like I say, where it's not actually a brolly, you've got all this height behind you as well, so you haven't got to be thinking that you're going to be hitting your head on something behind. You've got loads of room, and again, because it's that bit longer, it comes out that bit further, you don't have to think that you've got to be using a front on it, because you do have that extra protection. It's almost like having a massive peak coming off the front. So yeah, in terms of space, I really rate it, and for what I do, a lot of one-man bivvies are a bit too small when it comes to camera kit, tripods, gimbals, drones. We bring a lot of stuff with us, so yeah, it really is nice to have that bit more room. Now, as you'd expect, you get a load of extras with the bivvy. One thing I don't have with me, or I do have it, but it's in the car because I don't use them, it's a heavy duty ground sheet. If you like ground sheets, great, you get one with it. It's yeah, it is a heavy duty ground sheet. It velcros in place, so you don't have to worry about paying extra for that, which is good news. Obviously the pegs that it comes with are heavy duty pegs, so they're not a spindly little things that are going to bend the second you put them in the ground. And then you obviously get the 2 storm poles as well, so you get everything you need with it. Obviously you get the front as well, and the front is actually pretty unique. I'll come on to that in a second, but as you'd expect, you get multiple door options. So you've got your clear panel, you've got your mozzie mesh, and then you've got the solid green front to it as well. But like I say, the front door is a little bit different to what you'd expect and what you see in most bivvies. It's actually got a divider down the middle, so it's almost like a pair of curtains. So you've got your side panels, as you'd expect, like normal, and then you've got a big wide front door. So even if you like an open front shelter, but you think, oh, it's looking a bit dodgy, then you can have the front zipped on, but just have the side panels, because they're only very small side panels. The front door is so wide, it's almost like having it open. Now I will zip it on and put some overlays and that sort of thing so you can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's really, really useful, and like I say, it's just a different design. So if you're fishing like this, you know, you've got your head one end, you can have the side panel and half of the door down, so then you've only got half of it open, instead of having to make that compromise whether you want the door open or not. And if you have the door open, then do you have the side panel as well, just so you can see out properly. Yeah, it's quite nice to really tailor it to how you want it to be. Now the last thing to mention, they're on a lot of bivvies now, but it's still worth mentioning, they're still a big edge and pretty much a game changer in the summer, is there's nice big vents at the back here. So really handy when it comes to them sticky summer nights. You can just open them up. If you've got a bit of wind flow, it's going to make all the difference and just make your life a lot more bearable on the bank. So this is clearly one of the most high-end bivvies that JRC have ever produced. It's not the cheapest they've produced, but there's still bivvies out there double the price. I've done a bit of searching earlier. This is meant to be about 600 quid retail price, but you can get these for about 450 online. So when you compare that to what else is out there for that sort of price, I think it's priced accordingly. It's not over the top, but it's not cheap. So it's one of them things. This is a UK made product, this is UK designed, and we all know that that leads to better quality products and better quality control. So it very much is one of them, you get what you pay for. So that is a nice summary on the bivvy. Hopefully that's been of use to you. And now I've just got to try and catch some fish. I don't know how I haven't yet. They've been out there for a good few hours now and there's still fish everywhere. It's 10 to 7 now, so they've got to start getting their heads down soon. The sun's slowly fading away, so fingers crossed we can get a fish on the bank before it gets dark. Well, time is getting away from us a little bit now, which is slightly concerning. It's just coming up to 9 o'clock and the fish have definitely moved off. They started sinking down a little bit once that sun started dipping, and I've gradually seen them move further and further away. So I'm thinking this is potentially a bit of a day swim. They come up here, they sun themselves, and then move off for the night, which is not ideal. I've just put 3 fresh bags out, so they're all ready for the night. There's still fish about, but just not in the numbers that there were. So I'm still confident in doing the night, and where it gets light so early now it's getting light about 4 o'clock in the morning, so I'm confident that they move back in here very early doors, even if nothing happens actually overnight. So I'm still, going into the night positive. I just, I did hope that we might have got a quick, well, not a quick bite, but just a bite before darkness. It doesn't seem to be going that way. So I'm just going to make up another 3 bags, just so I've got a few for overnight, just in case something happens. But like I say, the light's actually fading quite quickly now, so I'm going to sign out for the night until hopefully something happens, and if it does, then I'll make sure I film it with a video light. If not, I'll see you in the morning. Well, good morning. It's about 5:30 and just got the kettle on. Just gonna sort myself out a coffee. But last night was very quiet, unfortunately. I had a tench about 11 o'clock. That was about it. There's a lot of fish crashing about, and they were in this area, so I am confident that it could do a bite early this morning, but just gonna have a coffee and just watch the water for a little bit. If they start showing somewhere else, then I'll have to make a move, but just going to see how the morning unfolds, really. I'm just going to redo the right hand bag because there's a bit of fizzing that's come up in the margin. So I know it's early, I wouldn't normally redo the rods at 6 o'clock in the morning, but there's not much showing where that rod is. So I'm just going to move it over to the right hand margin and just see if we can try and get one out. Oh, we'll get a fish. Well, just had the second bite, and unfortunately, again, it's still not the intended species. A second tench. Now I do like tench, but not when you're trying to catch carp. Let's get him back. That one was out to the island, so I'm gonna get another bag made up, get it back out there and try again. It's turning out to actually be quite a frustrating session. There's so many fish here last night, which made it no-brainer to come round, and I was almost sure I'd be waking up to something this morning, but yeah, obviously I had that tench just before going to bed at about 11 last night, and then now a tench at just gone 7. So I've been getting a few liners on that island rod, but there's every chance that it could have been the tench that were doing the liners. But there are fish crashing about, and if they're using this spot to get a bit of sun, then there's a reason why they're not here, because this seems to be a part of the lake that doesn't get sun till a little bit later in the day. So I'm going to persevere with it. If they do turn up again like they were yesterday, and they do end up just cruising about on the top, then I'm going to put a couple of zigs out, because it's only about 3 foot out there. Quite a shallow part. All the lake's quite shallow, really, but it's 3 foot's quite shallow. So even if I put a couple of zigs out, one at a foot, one at 2 foot, or something like that, if they are showing on the surface, then that might get a bite. Just a little bit of black foam, give it a little spray with something quite attractive. But I am going to persevere with these solids for now. Like I say, it's still early, it's only just gone 7 o'clock. And I think if they start moving into this area, I don't think they're going to be cruising straight in on the top, especially around that island. There's always a chance that that island's going to do a fish, no matter what time of day. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to persevere with these solids. And these little 6mm pop-ups, they are really useful, depending how many tench are in the lake, because tench seem to like these. But like I say, it's all new to me, so it's just a case of figuring it out. if I end up with another couple of tench, then I'm going to have to up my hook bait size a little bit, but even upping it to 12-15mm, tench is still going to take it. So I don't know if I'm better wading through them using a tiny hook bait, which is more likely to trip up a carp than your standard 12-15mm, or go the other way and go big baits, which won't end up with the tench and maybe sit it out, and I don't know. But for now, I'm going to stick with the solids. Get this one back out there and hope that it's third time lucky. So only a very, very narrow window to cast to that island. So yeah, can't have many rods on the island from that, or from this swim. So it's been a couple of hours now since I had that tench. It's just coming up for 9:30 and I'm starting to get itchy feet. I've had a quick wander down the bank and there are a few fish out in front of the next swim, but they look like they're slowly moving over, similar to how they moved out late last night. I think they're moving back. And as I'm doing this bit to camera now, I'm seeing a few more shapes actually in front of my swim. So I'm going to persevere for the next hour or so, keep an eye on it, see if they are moving across. If they're not, then I will move down to the next swim if they're holding in front of that. But if they are moving across, then I feel like it could do a bite at any time. It's a bit more overcast today, so I don't think there's going to be such a set bite time that after 10 o'clock nothing's going to happen. So I'm happy to persevere, like I say, see how it goes in the next hour or so, and then reassess from there. All right, so I've had enough of watching the carp cruising in and staying just below the surface and not dropping down at all. They're coming over this way, which is a good thing, but they're not feeding, they're not on the bottom. As much as I don't like doing it, it's time to put zigs on. So I've made up a couple already. I'm only going to do them about, well, I've done one at 2 foot, one at 2.5 foot. It's about 3.5 to 4 foot out there. So I'm just below them. And what I'm doing is I'm using a tiny bit of black foam on a size 12 hook with one of the little pop-ups cut down a bit. So they're 6mm pop-ups to start with, trimmed just about 2/3 and then trimmed around the edge as well. So I'm hoping that with a little bit of spray attraction as well, might be what I need to do to make it happen. I really don't want to be leaving here without a carp, so that's going to make it happen. I'm only going to do it on 2 rods. I'm going to keep one on a bag just in case, but I think if it's going to happen, it's going to be an opportunist bite. So let's get this out there. So I've actually had to put my rods in the swim next door, which is only about 10 foot away. But I tried casting about in the swim that I was in, and there just wasn't enough room to cast a zig. So moved the rods down there, a bit more of an opening. I can still get to the same area where I've seen the fish, where the fish were out in front of me. So 2 zigs out at about 2.5 foot, about a foot or so off the top. And then I've put the solid bag as my left rod, and I've put that all the way down to where I've seen fish earlier this morning. There's still some down that way. So hopefully I'm covering all bases, but we'll see. Well, it finally came good in the end. After what seems like hours of keep moving zigs around, keep changing depths, I finally had a bite, and right hand rod went. Just the tip bent right round. I was fishing locked up, and yeah, playing it in, got it close, and then saw that it's actually quite a good fish. Now I've had it out, I've weighed it, and I've just got it in the sling whilst I sort cameras out. Well, how is that for a very, very cool looking carp? Never expected to get something like this today. I was really hoping for a bite, didn't matter what size, and to get a decent one out of, yeah, like I say, 26 pound 14 ounce on an adjustable zig as well, about 6 inches under the surface. Really made all that persevering, really made it pay off, didn't it? So an awesome fish. I'm not going to keep it out too long because it is quite warm today, but very, very happy with this one. And very nice welcome to the lake. I've had 2 crackers since I've been here, so looking forward to seeing what else is about in here. Yeah, absolutely made up. I think that's a pretty good place to sign off, isn't it? Mega happy with that result. Thanks for watching. If you want to find out more about the JRC EZ-Winder, make sure you head over to the JRC website. And if you enjoyed this video, then let us know in the comments. If you want to see more of this sort of style of video where we're doing kind of vlogs and then featuring products in between, then let us know in the comments as well. But again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.